voices, right? I really appreciate it. Tonight we're going to go until 8:15, so there's going to be a lot of information, and treat it as a buffet or like a smorgasbord. What you want, take with you. If it doesn't resonate with you, you can just let it pass, okay? So don't feel like you need to process every single thing, okay? So just take what you want and leave the rest. The first thing we're going to do is just get our heads a little clearer. We're going to do a little exercise that's kind of a meditative exercise, but we're going to make it just a little more fun. So Jim's going to come up, and everybody go to rip off the last page of their packet, which is the hot pink page. Just rip it off your packet. Okay, so now everybody has their pen, something to write with. What we're going to do is we are going to clear our heads. So we're going to list the first thought that's on our mind. So let's say, what is the first thought that's on your mind?
Well, I came up with a new one. Why am I standing in front of this group? Nobody wants to stand in front of a group.
Okay, nobody wants to stand. I thought it was traffic.
There was traffic. I realized the stress. And I see the camera now.
So stress is the first thought. So everybody write the first thought that they have in their mind. Whether it's, what am I going to make for dinner when I get home? I gained 10 pounds. What's going on? My shoes hurt. I'm worried about my grades at school, I'm broke, I don't have any money, you know, whatever the first thought is. Let that thought lift and see what's underneath it, okay? So let that thought lift and what's underneath it? What's underneath that thought?
For me, it was the traffic and getting home tonight. There's accidents everywhere.
So then write the next one. And if you're going faster, if you're able to let them lift and see the next one, feel free to keep writing, okay? So we're going to go step by step up here, but if you can do 10 or 15, I love it, just go for it, go for it. Okay, so let that thought lift, and what I'm saying is, like, if I'm thinking about, worrying about, being nervous about being up here, I'm not gonna grab onto that thought, I'm gonna let it kind of pass like a cloud and see what the next one is, okay? So what's the next one?
It's, you know, it's the constant rush, so rush, rush, rush.
Rushing and rushing, and what that does to you, and how you have to manage it, okay? Now, if you let that lift, what's underneath that?
Well, I hate to say it, but, you know, Larry showed up, and I'm sure he's going to ask me about my training plan.
So Larry's he's your trainer.
He's always telling me I got to do more.
That causes stress in your head.
He already said Thursday night, swimming.
So that's causing stress. You're wondering, did you do enough for Larry?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. A lot of us have that problem going through our head. Okay, what's underneath that one, Jim? And everybody keep writing. So get to the bottom of where we have an empty head, so we can fill it with all the new ideas that I have today, okay? Because otherwise, when there's no room, we can't assimilate things. It's just a blur.
Which reminds me, there's just no time.
No time for
Everything that you got to get done. I mean, so next I'd be thinking my kids. You know, so.
Okay, great. So underneath that is your kids. What do you have to do with them tonight? That's my word. What's for dinner? What's for dinner? Okay, what's underneath that? Are you letting them float away, or are you holding on to them?
Oh, no, I'm letting them float away. So. Oh, I mean, the kids, it's hard to float away, but everything else.
Okay, so the other stuff is float away. Can anyone comment on their experience? Are they able to let it kind of float away, or is it staying?
It takes work.
So it's taking work
It takes
to
work to
let the
let it
one
go.
lift?
Yeah.
Okay. How are you working at it? What are you're focusing on it? Or?
I'm just trying to visualize it passing by and it keeps going back.
So, you know, you can also just physically open your hands. That also helps because we tend to do this, right? So we're kind of holding on. So physically open your hands and you can uncross if you have something crossed. That'll also let it flow. See if it goes away a little quicker and see if another one comes behind it. Okay? Do you have any more?
I think I'm pretty clean.
Yeah? You're good?
I'm good. I'm in a good spot on my way.
Okay. Does anyone else have a comment about what that experience? Yes.
I like the cloud visualization.
Uh-huh.
Watching them float away almost on the clouds, like letting them go sit on clouds.
Is that easy for you to do? Just place them on there? Yeah? It's easy for you? Did you have a lot
Yeah.
to lift?
Just writing them down, I could prioritize them better instead of just a million thoughts running through my head, and I think I have like 2,000 things to do, and it turns out I have 5.
So it's a good surprise, you have a lot less than you thought. Okay, so getting it in front of you helps to see it. Anyone else have a thought about it?
I agree with writing it down. I was just gonna say that. It just, seeing it on paper is like saying, it's okay, and now I can like move on. Just writing it down helps a lot.
It gets it out of your head. So
Yeah,
It gets it down on paper. Anybody else have a thought about that? Okay, so now the fun part, the fun begins. Okay, now that we've cleared our head for all the new information, we have Connie, our lovely Connie in the back of the room, at door number 2. We're going to crinkle them up. We're going to stand up, we're going to jump up and down twice, and we're going to throw them in the trash can. Okay? Everybody, throw it hard, throw it hard, throw it hard. Please all to the table. Throw it. Any comments about what that feels like? That's a good release. The physicality of it, right? Let's go even more. So, and then if something else comes up under that, you can write it in the notes part, and you can get that off too. Sometimes when we lift a heavy layer like that, there's stuff that's hiding. So feel free, there's a notes page, you can put more things back on that, okay? Any other comments about that? Just the getting up and just the moving? Connie, how was that for you? It was fun. Put them away. Okay, so now we're ready for all the information. Okay, so we have a little more room. And again, I'm going to encourage you to take what you want. Okay, if it doesn't resonate with you, just let it sit. Okay, the first thing we're going to talk about is the word leverage. I like this word, but my definition of this word is using a small amount of energy to move a big object. Okay? So that would be like, instead of the pushing and the whole thing, the drama of it, just being able to go like this and move something huge, something that's bothering me, something that's overwhelming me. So, what does anybody else have as a definition of leverage?
How about money?
What about money? Tell me.
Financial leverage, using a small amount of money to control a bigger amount of money.
You like that, right?
I would.
Unless you're getting leverage.
Unless it's happening to you, right? What about like internal leverage? What about if I'm feeling sad today and maybe I want to feel happy, but I need some leverage to do that to myself? Does anyone have any, how do they do that for themselves?
Try to create, put yourself somewhere where you're going to become happy. Bring yourself to one of your favorite places or something.
Like picture it or drive there?
Physically go there.
Yeah.
So
So that
if
shifts it for you?
If I feel really happy at the Richards Pond, I'd go to the Richards Pond and be happy.
So then you create leverage in yourself to be happy by actually physically moving yourself to someplace that's beautiful,
Yes.
right? Nice. Hi.
I surround myself with people or things that make me happy. Even if it's one big problem that I'm having, the smallest thing can make me happy, even if it's a chocolate bar.
Okay.
And I just know that that's gonna make me happy at that point in time. And I know that I can clear it out. As long as I clear it out for 20 minutes, I know that that'll make me happy for that amount of time.
And is it a feeling of power when you know you can use that leverage to do that?
Definitely.
So you're not the victim of maybe the sadness or the victim of the...
Definitely.
Okay, so what about in relationships? Like boyfriends, girlfriends, husbands, wives? Where do we have leverage in those relationships?
I like to be sexually inspired.
So you have
It makes me
leverage...
feel better.
You have sexual leverage over your wife, or she has sexual leverage over you?
She
Where's
has
the...
it over me, but
Yeah,
I like to be.
You like to be leveraged sexually. Okay, I think people would agree with that, right?
when things aren't going right in your life, like, you know, you have like a lot of problems, like all that things on your list, like you try to think about the things like, but these things are good. My family is good, my son is good, like there are things, I have a job, I try to think about the things that are positive.
And it makes you feel
Better.
better.
It makes you feel like you have a little more control over the things that you don't.
So
That's what
let's
I feel
say,
about it.
so like in a romantic relationship, so if it's not going quite the way you want, or the person's not doing maybe what you want them to do, and you want to use a little leverage to make that happen. Besides sex, because we already did that one. Okay, you said one, we already used it.
I try to, you make concessions,
Okay,
small concessions.
okay, so your idea,
I make small. Other people make big ones.
you make little ones. So your idea that works for you, so you think that's gonna work. Does that work for you? Does
I
that
do think
work?
it does work.
Well-
Like, I think it's like, you have to know what's important to the other person,
Okay,
and then you can indulge them.
so if it's important for them to watch Dancing with the Stars and you don't like it,
You watch.
you'll sit and watch it,
Sure.
and that will get you what you want.
Yeah, it gives you peace of mind.
So is there something else, does anyone have a leverage that is something more, instead of doing something for someone, a little bit more empowering, like you're doing something empowering?
I think for me, just being like as honest and open with the person as I can. First, I like look at myself and think, okay, this person's not doing what I want them to do, but is it really like, is that the reality? Is it totally reality based, or is it something from my past that is inside of me that I'm expecting something in particular or whatever, and maybe it's not just that they're not fulfilling it. Maybe
Yeah,
it's
so you get
both
clear
ways.
on what's going on with you
Right.
and who that
And then-
person is representing. Like,
Exactly.
are they just your
Right.
boyfriend, or are they representing your dad, or your
Right.
an old boyfriend, or
Right.
your son who you're mad at, or, so you get clear on who that person is,
Right.
and then you're honest with them.
Yeah.
Honesty, I think that's one of the most powerful, we don't use it that much in our culture, but I really, well, I don't think so, but I think that is one of the most powerful ways to leverage and get what you want. It takes people aback, and also too, truth. I mean, what's more pure than truth, right? So in relationships. So now, my point, like what I really wanted to get across is sometimes we think that we have it, right? We think that, you know, screaming and yelling and making the point and being mean, or just getting the person to submit to our like needs, we think that that's leverage, and we think we're getting what we want, right? But it isn't really true. Like you don't really see that isn't getting you, because the person ends up getting angry at you, right? They'll do what you want in that moment, but you're not accumulating trust or accumulating some sort of support, right? Does anyone have any thoughts about that in their life?
Like crying as a girl, I think, is like the game winner every time. If you're like upset about something and you start to cry, game over, they lost, it's yours.
Cry! Get the onions, somebody go cut onions!
But it doesn't,
Crying doesn't get anywhere.
Crying doesn't work.
There's no crying in
You
my
can tell you're young and sweet, because at my age, crying does not work anymore.
It's more like, oh, you're crying.
There's an ageism to it, right? So we have, you know, and it is a younger approach, right? When we get a little older, and you're young, and it works, right? It works for me. But does anyone have something that they just realized they thought it worked, but it really doesn't? It ends up coming back and kind of biting them in the